This is the Veteran Woman Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to empowering, inspiring, and encouraging veteran women to overcome their struggles and celebrate their successes. Now, here's your host, the one and only Ariel Renal.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Veteran Woman Podcast. Today, I'm excited to have Donna Newman-Robinson on the phone with me. She is a success coach for women veterans. She's a veteran herself. She actually served 20 years as a nurse in the U.S Army. Go Army. Whoop, whoop. Just like me and a lot of other women veterans, she understands the woes of transitioning. And part of that actually enticed her to start her first company, Life After Military Alliance, or LAMA. Is that how you pronounce it, LAMA?
Exactly, a llama, yes.
Okay, and of course we're going to talk some more about that. And I mean, her being a veteran, all those veteran women out there and the other veterans, we already know how that is and how transitioning is. But before we get into Donna's version of her bio, she's an active member in several organizations, including the National Association of Female Executives, Women Veterans Military Experience, Army Nurse Corps Association, Atlanta Business League, and the U.S Women Chamber of Commerce. So if you are interested in any of those, make sure to get in touch with Donna. Welcome, Donna. How are you?
Hi, hello. How are you? Thank you for having me on this call with you today. I'm so excited to be able to spend a few minutes with you and discussing our mutual passion.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for saying yes to this interview. So, like I always say, I read your bio, I did a quick synopsis, but tell us about yourself from your point of view.
Wow. Well, I served proudly in the military. I really am so grateful for that 20-year experience because it really served me so well, and it really helped me to become a better person, much stronger and assertive woman. Things I didn't think I could do, I definitely learned that I could do. I had the ability to do while serving in uniform. So that's something I'm so grateful for. I believe that I'm the woman that I am today because of my military service. And as you stated briefly before, I did serve as the Army Nurse Corps officer. I was very proud of that. But I also had 10 years of enlisted time. So I had a little split personality.
But that's okay, because, we usually talk about officers. So I'm glad you were enlisted too. I won't give you such a hard time.
Oh, yes, I know, because I can switch on and off wherever, depends on who's the company. So I grew up in the military, being enlisted and a non-commissioned officer, which I'm very proud of. And so because I was a nurse before I joined the military, that was one of my goals, was to get my undergrad and my graduate degree in nursing. And therefore, I was honored a commission in the Nurse Corps at 10 years of service. So again, I have 10 years of enlisted and 10 years commissioned. Now, because I grew up in the military as a enlisted person, I was already, focused and driven and knew what I needed to do to get to the next rank, to remain competitive, to really grow personally and professionally. And so that was just another example of that in moving forward to accomplish the goals of becoming a Nurse Corps officer. Now, when I retired in 2000, which I'm dating myself because I am a sassy 60-year-old.
Sassy and sexy at 60.
And I say that very proudly because I am at a crossroads and we're always changing and growing. But as far as transitioning, I felt that was something that I did not discover. I was still in transition until years later. And I had actually wrote a blog on that, being in transition, still in transition, looking for those who are looking for me. And I kind of came to that realization when I had my moments of hitting a brick wall, as they say. I was retired, like I said, in 2000, and I was doing well professionally, although I was switching jobs every 3 to 4 years, thinking I was PCSing again. And so then that didn't feel so different at first, because again, that, as a former military person, every 3 to 4 years, we were expected to get those orders and move on to a new place. And that's how I felt initially, because I had very interesting jobs as a nurse, very non-traditional jobs as a nurse. So that was very rewarding, because I was able to grow in different areas, from a legal environment, insurance, managed care, business, all those lines of business that really helped me grow, not only as a healthcare professional, but as a business person. But again, I got to the point where, and then I started a doctoral program. You know how we do in the military. You got to go to school, get that education so we can get to that next grade, next rank, right?
Right.
So that's well, okay, I got all these different jobs. I guess I need to get another degree. But Ariel, at the end of my doctoral program, I felt stuck. It was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this now? Another degree on the wall? Do I really need another degree on the wall? What am I going to do with this? And I felt a little depressed there for a while. And I remember one of my elective courses in my program was a coaching elective, life coaching elective. So we had to practice with each other, our peers. But I learned so much from that particular course. And I had made a decision to follow up and learn more about what it takes to be, not only what it takes to be a professional coach, but to get that work for myself, because I was stuck. I needed someone to help me figure things out, to help me become unstuck, to help me decide what my next mission is, what my purpose is now at this stage in my life. Because gratefully, I had done a lot of different things, been there, done that. I had the education, I had this experience, but I wanted to really figure out what I needed to be doing now that was of purpose. And so after my year's work with the life coach, I discovered I had this aha moment. My epiphany was I was meant to serve and to share, to serve others, to share my life experiences as well. Well, Donna, where are you going to go learn how to serve? My V8 moment, where did I learn how to serve? And that was my military service. Well, who are you going to serve? Clearly, I'm not the only one who's lost. I know if I'm still lost as a woman veteran, there are those out there who are just as lost in transition as I am. So that was and I found myself just getting more and more passionate about talking about it, and just really trying to speak for us, be that voice. And that's when it hit me. This is what you're meant to do now. You know what it feels like to be lost in transition. You know how we think. And that was my aha moment 3.5 years ago. I was living in Atlanta at the time. I started researching and reaching out to other women in the area just to get a feel, and even to get an understanding if there was a need for this. Because now that you're moving forward with it, 4 or 5 years ago, there was nothing out there, really. I did the research as far as a life coach for women veterans. Us as military women, that's not something that we're asked when we get ready to transition and get out. What do you want to do next? No. We go through these briefings and turning in our equipment and going to resume writing. I see you nodding your head, you're nodding your head. Yes. But one thing that stood out for me was in those briefings, I was told, or we were told in the group, do not be surprised if you end up working 10 or 11 jobs before you find that one that fits for you. That stayed in my mind all those years. And guess what? I was accumulating those number of jobs along the way. And I just never fit in. I never knew that's why I didn't stay. I mean, my leadership was being sabotaged or threatened, my integrity. Out there in the corporate world, I didn't know. I thought, well, they will see I have these degrees, that I was a professional and I was a leader. clearly they will see that I stand on who I am. That's what we learned in the military, isn't it? Not so much out here in the real world.
No, that just all goes out of the window, and it baffles me. I'm like, how?
But
Like,
we don't recognize that. We don't have that conversation around this is what you need to expect when you get out. We are stuck, we're lost, all that. So that's how I kind of realized for me, this was what I needed to be doing. So it was a part of not only connecting and really hearing my sisters, but also educating our brothers in arms who really didn't have a clue. They
yes.
still beside us, we still beside them. However, they didn't understand our challenges as women veterans.
True,
they didn't understand all those things that we were dealing with as women. And so that was part of, again, every time I found myself in a circle of veterans, especially my brother veterans, first of all, how are we supposed to look? We don't have a look. So it's not easily recognized, right? And then if we're in group settings, there's so many of us who don't self-identify. That's another thing that I discovered in my work. So either we are ashamed or we never realized we were veterans because we weren't a male and we didn't go to war and hama. So I'm sure by the way you're nodding, you've heard the same thing. So I was really blown away that my sisters were thinking that way. And although I retired in 2000 and I was part of the Desert Storm era, clearly it was still a difference for our sisters that are coming out now, or even more so post 9/11. So I had to recognize that and know that, okay, hopefully for those who really have more severe challenges as a result of those wars, that those services are there for them. My interests specifically were for those of us who still had challenges, but we were even more lost because no, we didn't suffer PTSD, thankfully. No, we were victimized to MST, but we still don't know what we want to do. We're afraid to apply what we learned while we were serving.
Or don't know how to apply it in civilian speak.
Absolutely.
Because we have so many valuable skills that we learn. Absolutely. We are so marketable. But part of it is we don't realize it or we don't know how to articulate it.
Exactly. And I think a big gap, a big void in that too, is that we are still not being prepared properly as we're transitioning. When we're in the transition point, when we're going through those briefings, it still gets me because those conversations are not being made to discuss. When you take that uniform off, it's not going to be the same. When you go apply for that job, you may have this, you may have your skill set, you may have your education, but don't be surprised if you still have to start at entry level.
Right.
Because a lot of them, and I found that out through my teleconferences where we had our intimate conversations, where those on the call were at different stages of transition, maybe getting ready to get out, or those who've been out for a while. And it really was, it was so refreshing, but they just didn't have a clue because they just assumed. And having others that had been out a while say, no, it ain't really like that. Let me tell you, da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So the feedback I received was, oh my goodness, Donna, thank you for that, because we're still not getting it in our transition process before we take the uniform off. So that kind of got me started with my business. It started out Llama Resource Network as an online resource to provide information around those key areas: healthcare, VA access for women, education benefits, housing, things for our dependent children. Things are those I know that are really top 3, employment when we get out. So it kind of started with that. But the more I connected with my sisters, I knew my sweet spot was to get there and talk to them and share and get them to really feel that they could get some kind of support around this navigation of transitioning. So I went back and got my certification as a certified professional coach, specialized in transition. So I will be that expert to be able to share with them, to tell them transition is all in your mind. It is psychological. It's not about, these checklists and briefings and turning your 1050 and all that kind of stuff. It's still in our mind. So once we understand that part of it, it helps us better to cope and not be so hard on ourselves and not to have these high expectations where we're setting ourselves up to fail. So I can really, because you can tell in my voice, I really get excited about that because I've done the research to know it is in our mind. And if we don't stay engaged with the platforms such as yours and mine, we kind of, especially for those who have the challenges, the depression and PTSD and all, there's no one else around that knows what it feels like.
Right.
And those are the areas that I really get more inspired about, just stay connected. And so one of my, it's just something that I just really go through when I sit back and think about those 3 words that speak to my brain, and that is empower, inspire, and encourage. And so, I
promise you, I did not copy it off of you. I promise.
When I saw that, I was like,
I promise. Look, yes. I was looking for my card. I'm like, wait a minute, those are my 3 words. But you know what? It's because when I pulled up your bio right before the interview, I was like, oh, I remember finding you a couple of years back when I was transitioning. So I was like, oh, this is Donna. Okay, so putting 2 and 2 together, because I've had you as friends on Facebook for a minute. But it's just, and it's interesting. And now I understand more of what you do, because when I set out, after I got out, I didn't think I'd be doing this. And so even with you talking, I'm like, yes, there is a need for this based on what I've gone through and what I'm hearing other people saying. Yes, we feel the same way. Yes, we were lost too. We're stuck. So it's divine intervention, divine connections.
Absolutely. Because there is such a need, and we're already connected because of our service. And we can, I think what makes it even more divine is that we're becoming more comfortable in sharing that. When we're in that uniform, we don't talk about stuff, our stuff. It's all about the mission. And so that's why my tagline is the next mission is you.
And I love that.
And I felt that would connect us in some way, because we know all about mission, but now it's you when you take that uniform off. And so it's scary, because I know I've done a blog on, because this was me, the fear of losing my identity when I took the uniform off.
It's funny how you say that, because I was about to say, like, if you were out of like school for a little while and you had an identity, once you come in, you lose that previous identity, you gain another one. And then when you get out, you lose the identity from when you were in. So it's like you go through these identity crises.
Exactly. And that's a great way to put that. And I've heard from different anxiety feeling emotions from other sisters who were taking a uniform off. Yeah, they was ready to get out. Then there was like, I've been in since I got out of high school. I don't know what else to do. And what's interesting, I have a few of my good friends who are still serving in 20 plus. So think about them. That's all they know. And doing my research, I asked a couple of them, so what do you think you want to do when you get out? I have no idea. How scary is that? So part of my story is it doesn't matter where you've done 2 years or 2 decades. When we put it out there like that, that's why there's more need for us, sisters like us, whichever platform you use to connect and stay engaged with them out there. Our sisters are out there. I've met so many on this platform who's really out there doing the work in their way to really connect and stay engaged. But what makes me a little different is success is defined differently for everybody. It's so individual. So when I say success coach, it's defined by what you feel success is to you. So for me, it's about helping that sister veteran discover her true passion and purpose. That's my success. And peeling back those layers and figuring that out, because I can relate to that. That's how it was for me. Was it easy? Oh no. Was it dirty? Yeah, because you're peeling back layers of yourself to get to that raw space.
Yeah, and there'll be some crying, some yelling, some screaming, some anger.
All of that. And a lot of that stuff we brought in with us when we put the uniform on.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that until we're at that time, at that place where we want to do the work to get to our next level. And so I've had clients who I'm like, okay, how do you want to be coached? Because you got 2 for 1 here.
Yep.
You got a nurse and you got a coach. And I mean, if you want it, because I'm going to tell you, either way you want it, I'm going to tell you. You know, I'm going to push you. I'm going to ask empowering questions. Are you ready for that? Because I can only speak about what I know. And I know how it was for me. And it was very cathartic. It was liberating. It was empowering. And so I just see a newer side of myself. I didn't even know that was already there.
Yes.
And so that's what excites me when I work with women one-on-one, for those who really want to look at becoming unstuck. I have those who say, I want to know how to start a business. So I've developed different packages based on their needs. So that's what is success, because whatever you want, you consider would be successful for you, whatever you want, but we still have to start at who you are, that person, before you can move forward. So are you ready for that? Because we're going to go there.
Right.
And that's what I kind of, that's just my style. And, being a mother and grandmother, I'm kind of, they know, okay, Miss Donna. But it's with love, and it's with no judgment, and it's in a safe environment. So that's why I get very excited about it, because it's all about us.
Yes.
And who's there to really listen and hear what we're not saying.
Ooh, that is so true. And instead of, we get so used to people telling us what to do and who to be and how to be. When we get out, we may not necessarily want to do the same thing we did when we were in. So even creating that space where we can say, okay, what is it that I want to do? What does my heart pull me to do? Even if it's something completely different from what they did while they were serving. And it'd be okay. Because like in transition, it's like, yes, no, you have all these years of this. You need to be doing this. Like for me, it's IT. And okay, and I love IT. Don't get me wrong. I love IT because I'm a little nerd. But my passion is helping people. And people look at me like, well, you go get this IT job paying 6 figures, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't get the excitement like I do when I'm coaching. Absolutely. And just helping others and helping others find that success. So just being able to create that space where other people can feel like they can just be whoever they want to be who they are.
Be who they are. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even if it is for a time period where they're working with a coach such as you or I, to where that can come out of them. Mm-hmm. Because, it's about doing the work. It's about peeling back those layers, because initially we may not know what we want, or those dreams that we suppressed as a little girl.
Yes. Yep.
And that's what I get excited, because it's so transformative. It's just about the energy, because you cannot plan for, you cannot predict it. It's about how open and vulnerable you will allow yourself to be when it comes up for you. I've seen so many, changes in others and in myself, because I learned so much from each of my clients, where it just makes my heart sing. And if it's something that makes our heart sing, that's our true calling.
And you can see when you're talking and you're coaching, they have that sparkle in the eye. You've hit it. Or
Yeah.
even when you're on the phone, when you've hit it. It's like, wait a minute, let's stay there. It's something right here. Let's talk about that more. I love that. And it could be something completely different than what everybody else was saying or what society says or whatever. But when you follow your passion, that's going to give you that fulfillment.
Absolutely. And you're so much more empowered. And a lot of us don't know what that means. Don't have a clue what being empowered means until they trust themselves enough to allow someone in that space, or trust that person enough to allow them in that space. So it still takes that work to engage, to increase that level of trust. It takes time. I've had those in my community for over 2 or 3 years, and something to click one day, or they in a conference one day and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to call Miss Donna. I'm ready now. And I've been a part of that. I've done that with other programs that I've been a part of, because once we become aware of something, once we are aware, it's not going to go away until we do something about it, until we make a move, until we do something. Oh, and as a coach, you're just a nod, because you affirm what I'm saying. That truly is what energizes me and inspires me at this stage of my life. So I'm really, really grateful for that.
And you're inspiring me with this conversation, because you're validating a lot of the things that are in my vision and things that I'm passionate about, even though it's not many people doing quite what we're doing. And I'm like, but I know there's a need somewhere. So, people may be like, well, where's the need, or how can you show it? I'm like, I know there's a need because I'm one of them. And then I have people coming to me that are saying, yes, 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 it's important. So, that validation, we need validation too as coaches.
Oh yeah, you already know that.
So that really helps, and that really means a lot. And like you said, just seeing somebody get that sparkle in their eye and to be transformed, that's amazing. So you said you transitioned out in 2000. How long would you say your transition phase lasted?
Oh my goodness. After 11 nursing jobs, before I discovered I was meant to do something bigger than myself.
So how many years?
I would say, almost 10 years. Yeah, almost 10 years. Just kind of lost, just going from job to job, not feeling any real fulfillment, any real purpose. And back to what we said before, when you get that awareness that I just can't do this no more.
There's got to be something more.
I'm not doing that no more. Okay. But it just, because it's been stirring all along. We've been getting the signs all along, but we've been ignoring them. We've been thinking there's been something else. Like, I thought it was just, okay, well, I done did this. Okay, I done did this. Well, I'm not no further I'm not challenged anymore. So I guess this must be meant for me to go find another position. Didn't have a clue. So that's why I say, I think we should be that voice if we're sharing our experiences, if we are being transparent and authentic and vulnerable. That's not easy, because that was one of my challenges. But I had to learn through my life coaching training in order to be an effective coach. I had to be vulnerable myself. I had to be transparent.
And that's even more vital with the people who we serve. As veterans, it's already that family feeling. You instantly connect with another veteran because you already know they understand the language, the struggles, the ups, downs, everything. So that's an instant connection. But also seeing that and they want you to be real. With us, we're like, don't feed me some BS. Just be real with me.
Exactly.
And then being able to see that you're a real, genuine person, that you've experienced whatever they're going through, that means the world. And I know just as on the business side of coaching, there's like, okay, landing pages, this, that, this, and that. And I'm like, it just, something does not sit right with me. And then it's like, I need to do it this way. And it may not make sense to all of y'all because y'all haven't served. But the people I'm talking to, this makes sense. We'll get it. We understand. So it like you said, it's about being authentic. If something doesn't sit right, maybe it's not what you're supposed to be doing.
If our community is not hearing what we're saying because they're not engaged, or they might not hear it, but if they're not engaged where someone else is hearing it, that they can bring them back to that. Hey, you need to be listening to this person. Hey, blah, blah, blah. They're still kind of out there. And there's a large population of that happening still. So we have to be more creative. We learning. I know I've learned. I'm learning, still learning different ways where we have to be able to reach out and connect. And some, it's all a trial and error at times. Some things work, some things don't. We have to know when it's time to move on. Now I'm speaking from a business perspective, what is working for us and what is not, and surrounding ourselves with like-minded people all the time, because the life of an entrepreneur is not for the faint-hearted.
Oh, it surely is not.
And especially for our community, because they may see the value, but some may say, I don't think I deserve to invest in myself that way.
Ooh, uh-oh. That's another conversation.
That is another conversation. Or why should I have to? So, and then those that are in the middle, coaches and in the business, in this industry, we still have to, it's critical that we have our own circle of those who will support us when we're up and when we're down, because they're going through the same thing in their industry. They're the business owner. And that's what has kept me going from someone who knew nothing about starting a business, from my healthcare career to what I know now. I would have never thought I'd know what I know now. But when you have that passion and that purpose, you'll find a way.
Oh, yes. And it's so rewarding. Sometimes I'll set out to do stuff and it's like, I don't know how I'm going to get it done, but we're going to find a way. And that's that challenge too. It's a good challenge. It's a good way to stretch yourself.
Yes. Woo! Yes, and yes, some more. I mean, I see it, with the whole of things that we have to do or we're learning to do as business owners, but also not afraid to fail at what we're learning to do. Because if we're holding up because we're afraid to fail, we are really cutting ourselves off from growing, because we have to be prepared to fail when we don't know everything.
True.
Because you never know, if we have the mindset that I'm going to learn this lesson from this and I'm going to be better because of it.
And another thing that resonates with me is progress over perfection.
Absolutely.
And I have to tell myself that if I'm stuck on something, I say, okay, Ariel, are you trying to be perfect? Are you trying to worry about the graphic looking good or whatever? When somebody's out here needing you to get on this Facebook Live and talk about whatever you need to talk about, versus you trying to do all this little pretty stuff. So then I remind myself, progress over perfection. And again, back to that word, authentic.
Because you are planting the seeds out there. And that's what helped me to stay the course. You don't know who's listening. And trust me, it's beginning to bring tears to my eyes, because we're living this. You're experiencing this. You get on that Facebook Live. I mean, the other platforms that's been out there, they're listening. Our sisters are listening. And when they're ready, they're ready. But we have to keep moving, stay close to our why, because I know that's what I have to do. Excuse me. I have to go back. Okay, why am I doing this again? Because today,
Yes.
Okay, Lord, you told me that this is what you wanted me to do. So I'm going to need you.
And
that's how I get.
Yeah.
I'm telling you my little personal stuff.
And ready to give up. I swear the days that I'm like, I'm not posting nothing today. Or I'm just, why am I doing all this? This is too much work. Somebody will inbox me. Somebody will text me. Somebody will comment on something. And I'm like, wow, it does matter.
And I know part of my routine, and I know one of the questions, what is one of my personal habits? Because I've learned through my own work with a coach, what works for me for my daily practices. I meditate and I journal a lot. And that sets my mind. That gets my mind focused to be prepared for whatever my day is going to be. When I'm struggling, especially from the business part, that's where I have my one-on-one with my Savior, because he put this in me. I didn't, just wake up and say, and I know I had to do the work back to what we talked about. In order to define and discover our true passion and purpose, we have to do the work so it can be birthed. Mm-hmm. And if we're not willing to do that, then we're still walking around in labor. And so for me, I know I done went through the labor and birthed this through the faith and the prayers and through the Spirit. That's when I have to get in here and be talking to him and say, you did this. You did this. So something needs to be happening, Lord, because, and I know I may sound like a crazy person on your call, but that's being real.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
And when you're talking to your client on the call and they're stuck, and I give them I ask them a certain question that triggers a memory or an emotion, you've hit something, because what's in you came out in that question for them to think what they need to do to make that next step. Our sisters so needed, because that is just not part of who we were raised to be while we were serving. And for us to find who we really want to be when that uniform comes off, it really takes a type of energy to do that we deserve to invest in ourselves for. And that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me full. Because if we can't be honest, but our folk, our community, they know. And if we're not putting it out there, we may not want to share. I know for me, one of my biggest challenges was sharing how my career saved my life, because I was in a very tumultuous marriage for years. And I knew in order for me to move to the next level, I had to share that, because I know there's sisters out here who are still in it, who are dealing and trying to stay and finish their career in spite of. And in order to continue to inspire them, I had to pray about it, share with my family, let them know this was coming, because that's not something we like to talk about. We have our own inner feelings about it. We have where we're feeling shame that we allow certain things to happen. But in order to heal someone else, not just myself, but to be the effective coach and that cheerleader for that sister veteran, I have to be as transparent as I can be. And knowing that not only am I being blessed, I'm blessing someone else. And that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me motivated to know that I have to keep looking out there for my sisters, especially at this stage in my life. I feel like I'm more of a mentor to those who are not clients yet, but you still have to build that relationship before they're ready to invest. And however you do that, through your podcast, through your Facebook Live, through those who know you, who've heard of you, who served with you, trust me, they're listening. They're listening, and they're going to be making contact with you. And when you least expect it. And those will be the ones that are ready. So that's when we feel like, oh, yeah, we got all this. They say they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And they don't. It's not us.
Right.
So I know the times that I kept having to cancel with you, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I want to do this with her, but I wanted to be in the right mind frame to give my best self to you, because I know how I feel about the work that I do, and not over here sniffling from allergies, can't hardly see, because I know I'm not my best when I don't feel well. So I'm like, no, this is the last time, I promise. So I again thank you for being so gracious and your understanding.
I'm just glad. I'm glad you kept rescheduling. I mean, that you actually like said, no, we're gonna do this interview. So I appreciate it, and I'm so glad we did. Wow, I am so glad. It's just doing these interviews have been a blessing to me. I do them to inspire, empower, and encourage other women and just other people. But each time I get to talk to somebody and connect, it does so much to me. I love it. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Really.
So thank you so much. I am so appreciative. And thank you for what you're doing.
You as well. I mean, again, we have to find that niche where what works best for us to make that connection.
Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you?
Well, several ways. Social media, of course, Instagram, Twitter, D. Newman-Robinson on Twitter, Donna Newman-Robinson on Instagram. My Facebook, my business page is Life After Military Alliance. And on that particular business page, for those who really want to connect with me, I also have a personal Facebook group, which is called The Next Mission is You Movement. I kind of went there, I guess, almost a year ago. I was trying to really move forward with my coaching piece, because Life After Military Alliance is still there. It's still an online resource. But the success coaching piece of it is DonnaNewmanRobinson.com, still up under Llama. But for those who really want their more intimate connection. So I haven't been as visible from the Facebook Live piece of it. I'm really building on some webinars right now. And what I found since I relocated about 9 months ago to the Washington, D.C. area, I'm really becoming more active in volunteering. And they're in different groups that have a large number of veterans in them. And they may not be all women yet, but my brothers, they can use some education, because they know women. So they're, oh, Lord, where she come from? Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a thing or two about us. They're like, oh, I said, yeah, I know how to talk to you. I know how to talk to you.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, so we, it depends on where they are. Some of them, were retired officers. I kind of go there with them, and then I come down back to reality. Yeah. You want to talk? We can talk. Don't make me take my earrings off. I ain't playing with you. But they know I get their attention. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Don't tell me about my sister veteran. Let me tell you about them. And so with one of the organizations is AARP, and I'm really excited about it because, again, they work with a lot of the veteran service organizations, and it's really helping me. I'm just more community focused right now to see what's right here in my community. But at the same time, we're so flexible with the virtual side of our business to be able to be a guest speaker. I'm still doing that. I still have my teleconferences, small group stuff to really tackle some of those issues that they really don't want to talk about online. And with others that are maybe getting ready to retire or getting ready to get out, but those who've been out for a while. So that communication is so rich that, oh my gosh, it's just so many light bulbs go off, and they really like that. And also because now I'm a proud member of one of the military sororities, and that's like the bigger picture of it, because they're all kind of in there.
Oh wow.
Kappa Epsi, and that's where most of the younger women veterans and some that are still serving are. And I get to learn so much from them and really to be that voice and hearing what they're not saying, which is what I love. Hearing what they're not saying. And then that opportunity where I can talk to them one-on-one and then you get that look. I'm like, oh, really? Because I heard you didn't say this over here. Kind of. Yeah, you called me later. Yeah, so I love that because there's that connection. Because we're not used to asking for help. I blogged about that. We're not used to asking for help. And just because we ask for help doesn't mean we're weak.
No, you're actually smarter when you ask for help.
That was a hard lesson for me, asking for help. I didn't realize that was something I wasn't doing, asking for help. My husband's like, don't you know, you have a problem asking for help. Huh? That goes back to we're used to figuring out the problem, not asking for help, not for ourselves. So if we in our platforms can create that space where they feel it's okay, you're not less than that warrior that you were. So those are the things that I know that we have to continue to build on. And whatever opportunity we have to do that, we take advantage of it. And you just never know who's listening. And just a quick story back to the ARP thing. I went to a retreat for all the new volunteers, and we're having to stand up and introduce ourselves, new whole environment for me. And after I did say who I was, and I was a retired, after my name, I identified myself. And then we broke up and went to lunch, and this woman came up behind me. She said, I know you. I said, you do? She said, yeah. She said, as soon as you said your name, I said, I know her. I follow her on Facebook. She's a retired Army colonel. So again, to my point, we don't know who's listening, Ariel. We don't know who's following us.
Oh, you're going to make me, I'm already crying.
So yeah. You keep doing what you're doing. And what's there for you is going to be there for you. And me as well. That's when I start getting to my little pity part. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I know what you have for me is for me. And you want me to stay focused and stay inspired and stay around the right people. You're going to make it happen, because why not? I did 20 years in the Army. Who knew? My mantra was, if I can have 4 kids, survive a horrible marriage, retire in 20 years, and still come out here looking pretty much okay.
Still looking sexy at 60.
Yeah. So that, I say that humorously, but that's what we have to do to keep ourselves up. And that's what we do to our clients, to keep them inspired, that they still just as bad and just as bodacious and just as unstoppable as before. And when we hear that, when we feel that within ourselves, then we know we can do anything as long as we got the right people around us.
Right. And we don't have to compete. Like no. You and I, how we are doing very similar things. We still have our differences and our uniquenesses. Yeah. And so I'm sitting here, my mind's going like, how can we collaborate? Where can I have her speak at? When can I fly this way? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all, I support all my sisters that are out here doing the similar things. I mean, I think you've seen some of my comments of those that I support, because, that's not an accident. You're here to be a blessing to others, not to compete with, especially in the work that we're doing. And so, you just never know who you inspire or who you motivate. And it's all going to come back to you in a blessing. So if you have the right mindset and the right heart in doing what you're doing, and not feel competitive to take away or you're less than, we're human. Those thoughts come through, but we don't act on them. We don't sit on them. We just keep it moving. Right, whatever we need to say in our spirit to stay positive, to think about how I got here, right? How you got here to do what you're doing, that keeps us keeping on, and that keeps us supporting each other. Because I'm here for you.
And I'm here for you. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for doing this interview. You are a wonderful person and beautiful. And like I said, sexy at 60. That should be your new hashtag.
Thank you so much. I love being around my younger sisters. They keep me young. Yes, and these I didn't have to birth you. My 4 that I did birth, they're a little different. But the ones, my younger community that I love, who I get so inspired by, and who teaches me new things every day, I thank you for that.
You do have that mentor spirit, that mentor motherly spirit. I can feel it. And I'm not even in like your presence other than on Skype, but I can feel that. So I can definitely see that.
That's who I am. That's who I am. And I'm so proud that God gave me that gift. And I'll leave you with this. Whenever we're feeling discouraged and we're not using the gifts that God has blessed us with, it's like a slap in his face.
You've been listening to the Veteran Woman Podcast. If you want to connect with Ariel and let her know what you thought of today's show, be sure to head over to www.theveteranwoman.com and follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @The Veteran Woman.